Numbers on that TV over there.
Oh, Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Can I get my Chromebook from Mr. Blackberry's room?
No. Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. So I tried to tell you guys to make sure you grab the handouts on your way in. So if you didn't hear me say that and you didn't get them, please go grab them real quick. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how BC is different than AB, but that'll just pop up naturally. So first off, of the handouts you picked up, one of them is a syllabus, and I think it's pretty straightforward, but take 60 seconds or so, skim through it, make sure there's nothing you want to ask about. It does talk about late work, grade breakdown. Seats are on the board right here. And you need the handouts on the front table. Okay, so the things that I remember about the syllabus was your grade breakdown, 60% major category, 40% minor. Major is going to be big tests, big quizzes, stuff like that. Minor grades will be classwork, homework, that type of stuff. That's been how all math classes have had to been set up for years, so you should be pretty used to that. Late work probably shouldn't be an issue in this class, but I do allow late work for half credit, but it has to be fully completed, and I need it before that unit test. So those are the two things that I remember about that. Was there anything else that you saw in the syllabus you might want to ask? Good. Okay, then one of the other handouts, and we ran out over here, so there's a chance you don't have this one. There's 3 websites I need you to sign up for, so you should have a page that looks like this. If you didn't have one of these to pick up on your way in, just raise your hand and I'll bring you one, because I have more. But I need you to sign up for those 3 websites. So I can't let you use your phones, but if you have your Chromebook, you can go ahead and start doing those 3 while I talk about them. And if you don't have your Chromebook, please make sure you start doing that. Without phones, Chromebooks are going to be a little bit more important. But you could do that for homework, I guess, if you don't have a Chromebook with you, because it has all the steps on there. Make sure for Google Classroom, bless you, and AP Classroom that you sign up for the correct class period. This is 5th period. If you sign up for one of the others, I can kick you out of them, but I can't move you to the other section. So you'll still have to sign up for it if you pick the wrong one. while you do that, I want to talk about how we're going to use each of these. So, starting at the end, AP Classroom. We'll use AP Classroom a little bit more than I used it for AB. I realize some of you guys didn't have me for AB. But in AB, I typically only use AP Classroom for a mock exam before the AP exam. But for BC, we'll use it for some practice here and there. But the main thing why you need to sign up for it on day one is that's how the school knows that you plan on taking the AP exam. Now, I guess if you want to take the class and not take the AP exam, that's okay too, but you definitely need to let me know that that's the case. That's very unusual. The second one, Google Classroom, I use that for announcements, reminders if we're in a different classroom, stuff like that. In fact, when you sign into Google Classroom today, there should be a notification there. Has anyone gotten in Google Classroom yet? Did you see the announcement there? Okay, so I posted an opportunity about tutoring. It does have limited availability, but if you know you're going to need tutoring hours from U Alpha Theta, or you just want to build up some community service hours for your college applications and stuff, you might jump at that opportunity. But again, she only can take like 10 or 15 tutors or something, so if you drag your feet for a few weeks, you may miss out. So I will share stuff like that with you in Google Classroom. And then also, like I did last year, when I collect papers from you, I give you the option of either taking a picture of it, putting it in Google Classroom, or you can give me hard copies, that's fine as well. The reason why I like you guys to do Google Classroom is because sometimes you lose your papers, and that would mean you'd have to redo it. Or you don't bring them on the day I asked for them, which means you get late credit on them. If you turn stuff into Google Classroom early, then that never happens. So, also, we will do quite a bit of participation grades in practice and such. And for participation grades, I will give you full credit if you did all of it, half credit if you did less than all of it, and 0 if you didn't do any of it. So sometimes if you guys skip a question and you don't check it before you turn it in, if it's in Google Classroom and I have a chance to grade those early, I'll message you and say, hey, this one's not finished. You still have until this time before it's due, so you can still get full points for it. So sometimes I can help remind you that you missed something if you choose to turn it into Google Classroom. So that's how that will be used. And then the top one is our class website. So very similar layout to how I've had it the last year or two. Make sure you're signing or bookmarking the BC one, not the AB one. And there's a couple quick things I want to point out about it to you for those of you that are not used to being in this math class. But I do record our classes and I put them here. So notice I haven't had time to do third period yet, but first period today, August 21st, has a little link here. So if you were in that class and you happened to be absent that day, you were sick, school business, whatever, all you have to do is click the day and the class period that you missed, and it will take you to the class video. So I record all of our classes. Everything that's on the screen is in the recording. Everything that gets set up here gets recorded. So if there's any notices about quizzes, moving dates, or how to do the math, or anything that you would hear being in class, it will all be on the class recordings. So you need to utilize those when and if you miss class. Top right's the agenda. So that's the same thing I'll have for you on the board when you come in. So if you missed class, or if you just forgot what the homework was, you forgot what you're supposed to turn in, you forgot when the next quiz is going to be, anything like that, usually just glancing at that is a quick way to catch that stuff up. I'm going to come back to this in just a second. There's some stuff about AP Classroom. You scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to see our stuff organized the same way that I will ask you to organize them. So you will need to make a binder for this class, but the binder is very straightforward. You just need to number the items and keep them in order. So notice the syllabus that you scan through has a big number 1 in the top right, because it should be the first thing in your binder. Then this number 2, these classes or sites you're bookmarking and signing up for, this is supposed to be number 2 in your binder. I didn't put a number 2 on there. I wasn't able to do it before I ran off the copies. So put a number 2 in the top right, and when you have a binder, all you do is put it behind number 1. Number 3 goes behind number 2, number 4 goes behind number 3. It should take you about 10 seconds a class period to do your binder. So anyway, so this stuff is organized the same way. Of course, I'm on AB, not BC, but okay. But the other things I put on here that I needed to point out to you on day 1 is I put extra copies of stuff. Anything that I think is useful to you, I put on the class website. So with the syllabus, I don't know why you would need an extra copy, but if you want to download a copy and print it off, there it is. If you want an extra copy of these websites 3 websites you need to sign up for, you could print off a copy and do that. But specifically with math stuff, so sometimes there's a new copy. So if you miss class, like if you weren't here on Friday, you could either go download a copy over the weekend, print it out, use the class recording and not fall behind at all. Or you could at least open this up, and if you don't have a printer at home, you could put it on notebook paper. So, but below it, I have some solutions. So if I have video solutions based on the numbers, you can see I worked out 4 of these with my first period this morning. So I made little videos of those. So I don't know, let's say you got checked out right now, you go home and you need help with number 4. You just go to the class website, click number 4, and it's going to be less than 5 minutes, and it's me going over that one specific question, exactly what you need. So try to make that part as intuitive and useful as possible. The other thing that I tend to put on here quite a bit is solutions. So if I need you to check your work to something, if there's not another way for you to check your work, there'll be a little link for solutions. So you can click that and check your work as you go through it. So pretty much anything that I think can help or will help, I put on this website as a one-stop shop. Okay, before we can actually look at some calculus today, we need to talk a little bit about what's the difference between AB and BC. I know we talked about this a little bit last year, those of you that were in my AB class, because I was trying to convince you to sign up for BC. But this graphic I stole from the College Board website. You can see in AB you had to do 8 units of study and how much they weighed on the AP exam, just the multiple choice. And in BC, you notice that you're still on the hook for those 8 units. They just weigh a lot less. And then there's 2 more completely new units. So one thing we will do this year is Unit 9, where we'll do some calculus with parametric equations, polar coordinates, and vector value functions. So you've probably never seen polar before, so we'll take a day or 2 so that you can learn polar and then do the calculus. You probably haven't done parametric equations before, so we'll take a day to talk about parametric equations before we do the calculus. But that unit's pretty easy. It's no harder than any of the ones you did in AB. Unit 10 is on infinite sequences and series. That one's pretty tough. We'll need to spend more time on that one. So we'll have to do that complete unit. There's also about 6 other things that get sprinkled in up here that just don't fit into Unit 9 and Unit 10. So compared to AB, there's not a lot of new material. So the pacing of BC is a little bit slower than the pacing of AB. So some of the time we'll be working towards these things you haven't learned yet, and I'll try to strategically place them here and there. And then some of our time is going to be towards AB review, so that you do well on that part of the test too. When you take the AP exam for this course, you actually get 2 scores. You'll get an AB score and a BC score. So if you were not happy with how you did on the AP exam for AB, let's say you got a 1 or a 2, when you take the BC exam this year, you can actually earn credit for BC by doing well enough on the BC questions. But based on how you do on these AB stuff, you can actually earn credit for AB as well. So if you missed that opportunity with last year's class, you get a second chance with it this year. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Y'all have any questions about that? Did you know this already? No? Yes? Okay. So one of the first things we're going to do that's BC topic is there's like, so again, it's not hidden in Unit 9 or Unit 10. It's kind of hidden up in here. But there's 3 types of integration that we need to be able to do that you did not have to do in AB. So we won't even get to that today. But we need to practice the stuff that we did in AB that's going to help us with that new material that we'll start looking at on Thursday. So, integration in AB, there was only 2 things for you to do. There was 2 things for you to do in AB. Either you were undoing a derivative that you had memorized, or undoing the power rule. I kind of consider that undoing one you had memorized. Or, if it was more complicated, what was the only other way that we knew how to do integration? U substitution. So, we need to practice U substitution today. So again, you've done this before, but it has been summer, and you may not have learned it as well as you should have last time. So that will be our focus today, making sure that we've got this under our belt. And again, you just kind of have to trust me that I'm picking it strategically. On Thursday, we'll do a little bit more of this, but then we'll do something called integration by parts, which is like a fancier version of U substitution. So you really need to kind of have a pretty good grasp on U substitution. So this is supposed to be, what's this, number 3? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the first 2 with you as a reminder. Because again, it has been summer, and if you haven't, I'm assuming you guys didn't do a lot of calculus this summer, so just a quick little refresher. So you're welcome to follow along with me here, copy down, but I would like you to finish up this worksheet first before you worry about the next worksheet. Also, for those of you that remember this really well and you kind of hit the ground running, the bottom of the back page does have the answers. So make sure you're doing them correct as you move along. I don't want you to have to go back and redo a bunch. Okay, so question 1. Again, I know that this is U substitution because this doesn't look like anything that I have memorized. I guess I could cube this, multiply it by itself 3 times, and then distribute an x. I could do all that algebra, but that sounds kind of scary, so it sounds like that would take a long time. So how did we go about making educated guesses for a U value? Okay, so it's usually the thing that's like stuck under something. In this case, the thing stuck under the cube. So my suggestion to you on how to do this is pick a U value, take the derivative of both sides with respect to x, multiply your dx over, and now think about the name U substitution. It's called substitution because we're trying to make all of this x stuff look like U stuff. We're trying to substitute it in so we're looking at U's instead of x's. So instead of this that I'm highlighting, what could I put?
U.
Okay, very good. This is what I'm calling U cubed. And what about this? Do I know how big x dx is? Almost. I know what 2x dx is. So if I want 1x dx, just put that underneath. What am I doing to this side? Okay, and if you divide this side by 2, we know algebraically you got to divide that side by 2. This step is what's undoing chain rule. If you do it the way I'm suggesting you do it, you're undoing chain rule without having to juggle all of that in your head. So now, instead of x dx, I can put 1/2 du. And the point of this, the reason this is supposed to make your life easier, is now I look at this, I don't know what this integrates to. That's way too much work. I look at this is not going to be a problem. Raise the power by 1, divide by the new power. Oh, I lost my limits of integration. I'm going to say 0 and 1. How do you feel about that? That's fine? Y'all don't mind the 0 and 1? 0, 1? What's wrong with it? It's not 0 and 1. One more time? Right. You have to be, remember, and this is why I picked out definite integrals instead of indefinite integrals today, to make sure that you remember this step. 0 and 1 is if you're talking about x values. We're talking about u values now, so it's probably not 0 to 1. You need to plug in 0 for x here and see that u would be 1, and plug in 1 in for x here to see that u would be 2. So 0 to 1 for x is the same thing as 1 to 2 for u. So our answer comes from 1/8. Which one of these two do we plug in first? Okay, why the 2? Because it's bigger or because it's on top? Because it's on top, good. The bigger number can be on bottom. We talked about that some first this period. So you plug in a 2, 2 to the 4th is 16, 1 to the 4th is 1, subtract those values, you end up with 15/8. Okay, so go ahead and finish copying that one down, and I'm going to walk you through one more before I let you give it a shot on number 3. Now, let's say, just hypothetically, let's say that the answer to these questions wasn't on the bottom of the back page. How could you know that that was the correct answer and know that that's correct before you moved on? I want to know a way I could check my answers. If your life depended on getting this answer right, you don't have any ideas what you could do. Okay, sometimes you could go to the website and check my answers. Don't you remember that your calculator can do these type of integrals? It can do definite integrals. If you have limits of integration, you could just throw all this in your calculator and it will give you the decimal that's equivalent to 15/8. So if the answers weren't on the bottom of the back page, I would ask you to throw all this in your calculator, get a decimal, throw this in your calculator, get a decimal, and see that these two are equal to know that you did it correctly. But we don't have to do that today. Okay, so one more. So again, u substitution, you have to guess a u. Sometimes you're not going to guess the correct u, and that's okay, but you got to pick something. It's probably the thing trapped under something. So I'm going to guess x cubed plus 1. Again, my suggestion to you on how to proceed is to do the same steps over here every single time. If you do the same steps every single time like I suggest, then it should always work out pretty nicely. It should never be too much more difficult. So take the derivative of both sides with respect to x, multiply your dx over, and then start thinking about substitutions. So in place of all of this, I could say that's the square root of u, or u to the 1/2, same thing. The other piece I have to make a replacement for is 3x squared dx. Now in question 1, I had to do one more step of algebra to get what I needed. But on this problem, I know exactly 3x squared dx, which is what I have, is du. Every one of these x values has been accounted for using this and this. Change your limits of integration. 0 to 2 is when you're talking about x. Plug it in here. Plug in 0 for x, you get 1. Plug in 2 for x, you get 9. Those are your new limits of integration that match with u. And the whole idea of the u substitution is once you reword it, it should look much easier. It should look like something you can do in your head. I do the power rule by raising the power by 1 and dividing by the new power. Okay, so if I plug in 9 into this, what is 9 to the 3/2? Not 9.
27.
Okay, how'd you come up with 27? Do what? 9 times 3? Okay, so do it in 2 steps. An exponent of a half is like square root. Square root of 9 would be 3, and then 3 squared moves it to 27. So you can either cube it first, but I don't know what 9 cubed is, that's a big number, or you can square root it first and then do the other one. Plug in 1. 1 cubed is 1, the square root of 1 is 1. So your answer should be 2/3 of 26, or 52/3. Now you can see I'm going a little bit quicker at the end. That's just because I expect you guys to remember that part a little bit more. It's that first setup of changing the X stuff, substituting the X stuff in for the U stuff. So I am going to shift gears here, and I am going to go around the room and help out as you get stuck or as you need a hint. And we will probably work a couple more of these questions out on the board. We worked most of these together in first period, and again, that's fine. If U substitution doesn't feel like a strength of yours, again, I'm going to need you to feel familiar with this to help us out next class. So I need y'all to ask and let me know. Specifically on okay, I guess it's actually next week we'll do that. But one of the question types we have to do is called integration by parts. And integration by parts doesn't just have a U and a DU, it also has a B and a DB. So if you can't handle U substitution, integration by parts has U, V, DU, and DV. There's a little bit more of the same idea going on. So, okay, so until I come back and work more questions on the board, you're welcome to work quietly with your neighbor. You guys can help each other, you can compare work, you can ask each other's questions. Anybody around you is fine, just don't be a distraction to others, that's all I ask. Now, if you're really good at this skill and you fly through this worksheet and you're getting all the answers right, that's great. But when you finish, let me know so I can tell you what we're going to do with the other worksheet. There's a certain way I want you to address the second one. So. You're back. That's your going. You were doing something else.
Yeah, but like it's not in that school. In the schedule,
You can just call them and say, hey.
no, I went to Jujutsu because they said it was true. I think for the 7 classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, glad you're here. Good. You remember all this?
A little sketchy, but
You're doing fine.
yeah.
Good. You want to have Thompson on
I
right
know,
now?
I know.
I called him Tommy this morning. All period. I'm gonna call him a different name all year. You should figure it out. Integral of tangent?
Yeah, that's what I got.
I don't know, that's not one I memorized. You might need a different U. There's actually 2 different U's you can pick on that question. You said integral, right? Not derivative? Yeah, integral of tangent we don't focus. I actually thought you were a senior last year. Remember this okay from last year? Okay. Just try it, do what you can on each question and then we can it'll be first.
Mr. Johnson. I'm finished.
Yeah, if you just use your
It's on my thing.
You know it's not a race, right?
No, I just felt like I don't want to do homework.
I'm not gonna give you a ton of homework. All of these are okay. Okay, the other thing I'm gonna ask you to do today, start, is, so one of these you can use substitution on and one use substitution doesn't work.
Okay.
I want you to think about which one you could use substitution on and do it. Same with this, do only one of the two, only do one of the two, only do the one that works with use substitution. And so do that on the back too. Just do the one use substitution question on each one first. Because what I'm really trying to get you to do is think about why does use substitution work here, not there, or vice versa. Good, how you been?
I've been pretty good.
I thought you were senior last year too.
No, I was junior last year. I skipped pre-calcs to do.
Yeah, I remember you in AV, but I just was
Wait,
thinking
what?
you were senior last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really fancy.
And you wore a mask most of the year.
Yeah.
That's like one of those ones I got.
So you had a year off, so this could be,
Good job.
might be a little rough
I
here.
missed 3 now. Yeah.
Well,
But it shouldn't be tougher. It's
Well, that means
just that.
this is the only one you got.
how does 3 and 4 go?
I haven't done 4 because I got once I how to do it.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
First before I go back to
Tell me when you're stuck.
I don't want any homework, so I'll get as much. I can go home and rock and watch YouTube. You get me. You get
Got
me.
4?
I don't think I'm still.
You can read.
What happened with the other one?
Yeah.
Did you ask for stuff?
You have been so.
Don't worry me.
I chose to be outside.
Okay, but like, I don't know. I feel like I don't. Because I did probably.
Yes.
And BC is literally just
Okay,
a
wait.
tiny bit.
You get
Okay, I get extra college credit, but I feel like it's a waste of time.
it's like Brian. Because he only has one class.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I can do the same
in
with
just a
stat.
minute. You've already
No,
tried
with
that.
stat, I can actually learn stuff.
Go ahead and do
Because
start
here, it's all the same. Plus, it's
Yeah.
okay, also, I already got 5 minutes. I don't want to mess that up, you know?
That's gonna help you that.
No, I got 5 minutes. I know. And it's like, so what's the point then? Because if I get a 5 here, it's like half an AP score.
That's also covers Cal too.
Well.
It's like half an AP score, okay?
BC
But
covers
the
Cal
thing is that,
too.
this is when I go to college, and I have to take Cal. And I take Cal 2. I already know something. Okay, but I will already know something, which means it'll be easier to do these in the time that I'm given. If I do stat, if I do stat here, then that's a whole like course that I just wouldn't have to take.
Okay, so this in the denominator,
Cal
you
2,
can't just
that's like
do
half a
power
course.
one.
But you get most of these.
Think of this, so square root's the same as the exponent of a half, right? So instead of 1 over u to the half, just write it as u to the negative. And then
I can't be wasting my time.
Oh, you're locked in.
I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
Okay.
My senior year.
So as I said a minute ago, I would need your attention back. So I'm going to go over question 4. So please pause your conversations for a minute. If you don't need help with question 4, you can tune me out, but please work solo for a few moments. Again, I totally understand why you would probably be rusty on these. That's why I chose to spend some class time on this. So, okay. So for number 4, just talking to those of you that got stumped somewhere. The rest of you that got the answer, again, just keep working on wherever you're at. But for those of you that got stumped, what did you pick out for you? Okay, very good. 1 minus x is like stuck up in the exponent, so I'd say that's a good guess. Looking at a couple of papers, here's where the one mistake was. Derivative of u with respect to x is du dx. What's the derivative of this? -1, right? Be careful there. A lot of people are missing that negative. Then you can multiply the dx over. And you have to do this on every one of these questions, and sometimes you need to do one more step. So let's start to make some substitutions here. This is like e to the u, which is easy to integrate because the derivative of e to the x is e to the x. But I also have to replace this, and this is the problem. If you guys aren't writing all of this and you're trying to take shortcuts, you're not keeping up with this dx and moving it here and pretending like this isn't here, sometimes you're going to get the question right, but sometimes you're going to miss it and you're not going to know why you needed to do something else. So I need to replace dx. I don't know what dx is equal to. I know what negative dx is equal to. So multiply this side by negative 1 to make it positive dx. Keep your equation balanced by multiplying that side by negative 1. I can switch out dx with a negative du. That negative is undoing the chain rule in derivative. And again, doing it this way is preventing you from having to try and do that mental gymnastics of trying to undo chain rule at the same time. Okay, what about the bounds? What does 1 become? Again, just those of you who are stuck. Very good. 1 for x would be 0 for u. If you have trouble with that, you should write it like this. I'm plugging in 1 for x, u is 0. When I plug in 2 for x, u is negative 1. Now, in my first period class today, somebody said, wait, I thought the bigger number always had to be on top. And that's not the case. The bigger number is usually on top, but it doesn't have to be on top. So let me sidebar for 2 seconds to make sure you remember this property. You can actually switch these from 0 to negative 1 to negative 1 to 0, but what do you have to do before you can say that they're equal? Right, you have to multiply one of them by a negative. So if you really want this one on bottom and this one on top, you can flip them, but multiply it by a negative. That's a property that they do expect you to know. But honestly, it doesn't really matter, so you don't have to do that at all. I just know it's a comfort thing. All right, so what can I take the derivative of to get e to the u? E to the u. The derivative of e to the x, the derivative of e to the u is e to the u. Chain rule stuff is all taken into account over here. Okay, plug in negative 1 the first time, plug in 0 the next time. If this was a free response question, just like an AB, you don't have to do any arithmetic. You could circle your answer and be done. But for multiple choice, it's probably going to be simplified a little bit. So I'm going to distribute this negative and rewrite this as 1 over e. And distribute this. What's e to the 0? 1. And I think they maybe switch those on the back page. They may write it like that, I don't know. But same thing. So if you're struggling, that's fine. But you need to see, what did you not consider? Where did you get stuck? What did you do wrong? And that needs to be your focus on the next question to make yourself get a little bit further. Okay, so take that. Try to do a little bit better on the next question. And we'll probably end up working question 5 or 6 on the board together as well. But I want to see how y'all do. If you would like me to check some of your steps before you go further, or if you can't find your mistake and you'd like me to look at it, call me over as I come around. Yeah, so that's fine to pick as you. The problem is these can't substitute all of that. So that means that that's not a U that's going to work. You have to try something different.
So it's like actually easier. Because in college,
The derivative of that is 1/6.
Because there's so much homework. We have so much work. I feel like if I already know this, then what am I doing that work for?
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I wanted to give you some information. I want you to move on to this, but I want you to work this. Each one of these questions, one of them you can work with U substitution, and one of them won't. So I want you to think about which one is U substitution and then do that. Think about which one of these two you can do U substitution on and do that. Did you hear what I just said?
Okay, what is this?
Yeah, you figure, I want you to put some thought into when U substitution works versus when it doesn't work. That one, does it have answers on the back of that one?
It's 2.
You don't remember natural.
No, I'm saying I see people fighting. I these just been
Now, I warned you, there's a couple of them.
I just don't want to be half natural law. There's like half natural law space.
Don't spend too much time on it.
Let's go.
Okay.
You found something I can help with?
I have no idea. I have no idea here. But I'm still
Yeah.
looking.
So I understand why you picked that, that was trapped in there. But as soon as you find this stuff,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna substitute all of that.
No.
So that's how you know you needed something different.
What's my answer?
No, you just plug the numbers.
I barely remember that.
That's the hardest one, so.
I remember the natural law stuff.
Okay, well, what's the derivative? So you know whatever you pick for u, you're gonna take the derivative of. So I'm looking at this. What's the derivative of tangent?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. That's secant squared, so that would be an approach. Or what's the derivative of secant?
The bottom here.
So you've got to memorize those for you to be able to use them.
Yeah,
Natural log of
kind of forgot them a little bit.
So let's say
1 is, so that's 1 plus.
pick tangent. Just pick all of this to be your u. Hold on, I'm gonna talk about
Do you
that.
have hand?
Huh?
Do you have hand
I do.
Good.
It's in there,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna help you with it today, though.
Okay.
Overachiever.
Or you can do it.
I don't think I think you just throw this away and then make me do it again. I'll keep it. Okay, I've seen a few people realize that number 6 is kind of hard to pick u. So I'm not going to do all of number 6 with you right now. We can come back and do all of it together if it's needed. But the most common answer, the most common u for number 6 is 2x, because it's what's trapped under something. There's nothing wrong with that guess. It's just that it's not going to help you. So after you take the derivative of both sides and you do all of this that you have to do every single question, this stuff isn't going to replace all of that stuff. There's no tangents, there's no secants. I'm not going to be able to replace things just right. So that's how you know, wait, I probably need something different for you. So let's try tangent 2x. So ideally, you memorize these, or rememorize them. The derivative of tangent something is what? Secant squared of something. And for this question, I would also need a times what? Times 2 for chain rule. Now, I'm about to show you a trick that will help you remember some of these derivatives. Now, this is not ideal. Ideal is you memorize the basic trig ones. Memorize all 6 trig derivatives. But let's say on a big important test, you had to remember this derivative and you couldn't remember this one. I'm just going to do x, not 2x. But way back in pre-calculus, what's the most common way to rewrite tangent? Okay, sine over cosine. Okay, and then what was the way we did the derivative of something divided by something in AB? Quotient rule, very good. So I found out from first period we might need to review quotient rule. But quotient rule says take the derivative of the top times the bottom left alone minus the derivative of the top times the derivative of the bottom, or I'm sorry, wait, I said that wrong. I did the derivative of the top, bottom left alone, now the derivative of the bottom times the top left alone, all over the denominator squared. That sounds familiar, right? Okay, well, cosine times cosine just means cosine squared. Sine times sine means sine squared. And you got to recall two more things from pre-cal. What is sine squared plus cosine squared? Good. Look at your desk by your desk number. I've got those on your desk right now. So all of this is 1. What is 1 over cosine? So what is 1 over cosine squared? Secant squared. So you can see that's a lot of work to remember that the derivative of tangent is secant squared. But these are things that you should be able to do. You should know tangent is sine divided by cosine, and maybe we need to review it, but the derivative of something divided by something is quotient rule. We need to be able to do that anyway. So worst case scenario, sometimes you can figure it out by going through that process. I will also say that when I worked this question myself last week, I did not pick this U. I actually picked a different U and it worked out for me, but this one worked just fine first period. So if you worked it a different way and got the answer, then don't worry about it. Okay, so I still want you to finish trying that question. I just was helping you pick out the U. How do you know how to do that?
Just I did so many ACT because there's this one girl on the last year, but I didn't get to.
There was a girl last year you wanted to be?
Yeah. Her name's Sydney Taylor.
Oh, for
Yeah.
ACTM. I got you.
So then I got really pissed at her, so I just decided to like.
Did you even finish
What?
number 4?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's number 3.
That's right. Which one's number 4?
This one.
Oh.
If you didn't do number 4, you need to do that first.
Okay. Wait, so this one was useful.
So where are we stuck now? So where is 0 on the answer?
So where'd you put it?
What do you mean?
It's gone.
What do you think I would do?
It's gone. It's gone, bro. Oh, you took it. Did I check it?
What do you mean I took it? No, why would I-
Zero's right here.
Why would I take it? Look, I got all my stuff.
What's the point on
This
this?
is all.
I just did it.
Okay.
It's gone.
And tangent is sine divided by cosine. What's 0 divided by 1?
Yeah.
This is
So
mine.
the tangent of 0 is
Bro, it's missing. It's gone.
We don't.
Yeah, so I want you to, you got all these right? Yes. Okay, so now on this one.
Let me check your
So I want you to think about.
Oh, you did take it.
I took it.
It's in here. This is mine.
And it's the ones that, Humboldt knows you want to
I
get
don't know
how
what
you're not making
It's
it.
gone.
But I do want you to think about when you said it usually makes sense.
It's not here. Did you saw me? You saw me do it.
Almost inverse integration.
So odd.
Very, very
That's right. You saw me do it. You saw me do it.
I was just doing another one. Start over, yeah? You're already, we already started on this. You're already ahead. You don't even.
But I lost.
Okay, so right here, the derivative of secant squared is way more complicated. So here to here is
Right now.
I think the tangent to it is your u, and then the derivative of that is secant squared, and that's gonna work. The way the derivative of secant squared is not a tangent. That's
Brother, let me check one more.
But
I think that's on purpose, you said.
I like ask us back there how you do it.
So you use raise.
yeah, you just.
Mr. Thompson.
So which one?
Ezra saw me do it before, that was gone.
I can't find number 4.
You didn't do it yet.
I did do it. You just have an eyewitness right here. I
I don't know what you're talking about. I was focusing on my work.
You literally took mine, just. Oh, there.
I was there.
It's there the whole time.
I was literally staring.
That's one that you don't know how to do yet.
No, you were
I
not.
can give
You
you
were
2
not.
bits, but it's not something you did in AB.
It was.
That's why when we started this one,
Yeah,
maybe I should-
you notice how one of these was U
This is
sub,
what it
one of
looked
these
like.
was U sub, one of these was U sub.
Oh my, you did not see it.
Like this, I can't see it from here, but
Okay, so that's what I want you to think about. But there's a couple of these you don't know how to do.
I'm gonna kill myself today.
That's one of them.
you would know the best part.
That doesn't work because
Mr. Townsend put it there.
He put it there.
Yes. Well, you were going.
It's okay because you haven't
You went to
learned
go
it.
take it
This
over. I
is
was like,
easy
what if I just do this?
But that's what I want you to do. I want you to look at this and
Oh
say,
my
wait, I can do that.
I was like, yeah.
That, I don't know how to do that. So then when I
You
show
know what
you
you get?
Just off, bro.
I'm gonna make you do it.
Oh,
Forget it.
And then this one, the 2 hints I can give you. This is almost an inverse integration, but before you can make it look like that, you have to complete the square.
Okay, yeah.
We won't need to
I'm
do
an
that
idiot.
one today. You want to try it out. Those are 2 things.
What period? Did he actually say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you can say you for all that,
Yeah, he's a real one.
and then all of this is almost you, so you don't want that 2 to be there.
But now he's not.
So divide this up by
I don't
2,
have any
divide this up by
motivation
2.
for it. Maybe I should just watch you.
And all the rest of that can be 1 half.
You did all the work already. You're done.
You don't know how to do that. So what I want you to do on this assignment is realize one of these is U sub, one of them is not.
That too, but like.
One of these is U sub, one of them is not.
Lucky you.
Second thing, you don't know
You
how to
really
do
got
that.
ahead.
Maybe I should
On the first day.
Maybe I should get into law.
Yeah, but
Or
then
like
when
politics
you
actually.
do that,
Wait, would you vote if I was legislative?
Sure.
Sure? You're voting this week.
No,
Are you
I'm
voting?
not.
Where? What's your birthday?
A month after the election. It's less than a month.
Basically, we make this look here like algebra, and after we make number section, it'll be a couple fractions. And then being very
You
fast.
add.
They should let me vote.
Who would you vote for?
It's really good out.
Okay.
Not expecting you. I'm only
Yeah, it's
expecting you to do the
good.
6.
You add
You
and
love
you
them. And
multiply.
so I do
Yeah,
love
that's
them.
so
I also love them.
So you
Did
do.
you see the PNC? This picture showed you.
So this is your U.
Oh, yeah.
And all that.
Did you see the freaking little job?
Well, John.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I have never collection.
Other than you should, you don't know. That's good.
Wait, no, what did you get on
Obama?
X.
Like we saw some slides and there are a few speeches and Obama I did actually give some
All of that.
But like Obama's inspected Obama likes
Now,
it.
everything.
Okay, but Joe Biden.
But I was actually surprised.
When they said that Joe Biden ran in 1976, me and the girl next to me just looked at each other like.
Wait, when you multiply X,
He was born like before World War II.
Wait, no, wait, when was Joe
He
Biden?
was born like 1940, 43 or something, 1942.
Biden's birthday.
1942.
He's actually older than World War II. That is crazy.
I like this.
You should run.
Why? Why is that the first thing that goes to your mind? You literally said you just wanted to do law. Like, why would you?
I don't know what
Why
I
did
want
I
to
do
do.
ready for president? Not you, you know?
I don't know what I want to do. I was just saying that just because.
Okay, I need to interrupt again for a moment here. So I would like to finish going over this number 6 with you. Again, if you don't need to go over 6, that is great. But in the meantime,
Mr. Townsend, why would you do that?
I'm sorry.
Why
What?
would you do that?
Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Do what?
Don't act like you don't know anything.
Oh, that. Oh.
It was fun.
Okay, so if you would benefit from following number 6, then follow with me here, and I will record it. So if you want to watch it second or third time at home, if that would be helpful to you, then you can. So I've already taken a minute and talked about U. I know 2x is the most common one, but it doesn't give you stuff that you need to replace for this. So you could either pick U to be secant, because the derivative of secant is secant x tangent x, or you could pick U to be tangent of 2x, and either one of those will work out fine. But when I start making replacements here, this is U. It's a perfect fit. The other stuff, multiply the dx over. The other stuff is almost what I want, but I want 1 secant squared 2x dx, and I currently know what 2 secant squared 2x dx is. So I realize I would need to divide this side by 2. Keep your equation balanced by dividing that side by 2. So in place of this stuff, you can only replace it with the 1/2 du. And again, typically the hardest part for students is they don't know where this 1/2 comes from, and this is where you need to be very intentional with this. Make yourself write what you have, what you want, think about what you do to this side, do it to that side. Okay, and change the limit of integration. So when x is 0, U would be the tangent of 0. When x is pi over 8, plug that in. 2 times pi over 8 would be pi over 4. And what is the tangent at pi over 4? It is 1. Now, that should be the hard part of the question for you. The rest of this should just be undoing what you did 100 times in AB. Raise the power by 1. Divide by the new power. You get 1/4. Plug in a 1 the first time. 1 squared is 1. Plug in a 0 the next time. 0 squared is 0. Slap a subtract sign between them, and your answer comes from 1/4 minus 0, or 1/4. So make corrections where you need to. Even better if you highlight or emphasize the step that you didn't think of or went wrong on, so that you have something you can look back at and use later. Okay, so now that I've finished the question, does anyone have anything follow up to that? Okay, so let me give you some more directions here. I'm going to have to interrupt you one last time today, but it'll be in about 20 minutes. So I would like you to finish these 6. I know we did several of them on the board, so you should be close to finished if you're not finished. So please finish that up first. I will ask you to turn that in on Friday. But now let me give you the official directions to handout number 4. I said this to several of you as you got there, but I haven't said it to the whole group yet. So even if you're not finished with assignment 3, let me tell you what I expect you to do with assignment 4. Assignment 4 has 6 groups of questions, so 12 questions total. I only want you to do the 6 U substitution questions. So when you look at question 1, there's a question A and a question B. Only one of those can be solved with U substitution. I want you to put some thought into which one to do U substitution and work it. The other question, we will worry about on Friday. Same thing with question 2. Put some thought into which one U substitution makes sense on. Try U substitution on that one. Don't worry about the other one. Okay, so there's really only 6 of these that I'm asking you to do between now and Friday. The other ones, there's a couple on there that I don't think you know how to do. And we'll talk about them on Friday, so. But the U sub ones, you can practice those. So you got about 20 minutes before I interrupt you one more time. So do your best to get there so you don't have any homework. Yeah, so my pass this right here on the door. Yeah, just put your name in there. Since you guys can't have your phones anyway, I won't. Last year, you know, I said put your name on the board or give me your phone. This year I'm just doing it.
Wait.
I heard that it's not that bad of a Chromebook. Like to me, that sounds really funny. Some teacher told me that it's not that hard, or you can take pictures.
Brown.
Or the facilities in Maine, but
And if there's no practice, I don't want to waste taking stuff. I know stuff's important.
Oh.
But Cal, like half of Cal, even though I learned from Cal 1, second Cal 2, spend the class on which means like spend the class
supposed to be the anti-derivative.
Not as a because I actually remember like engineering.
Wait, where are you going?
Not engineering.
You said you were going to STEM though.
I didn't memorize. I memorized, but I forgot the trig. So,
You did computer science? But you haven't done any like CS.
Remember, you only have to do one of these. The one that you okay. So what do you want? You want me to check this? All right. That looks good. That looks good.
My mom works there.
I would like it better if you said 1/3 u is equal to x squared dx, but you did the 1/3 here, so that
No, it wasn't.
raise the power by 1 divided by the new power. Put a plus 3 on there because we don't have limits of integration. Plug that back in.
And he allowed me to come in.
So look, here's what you, now I know you don't want to do this on every question,
Put me on.
but what did you get for an answer? What did you get for an answer?
1/9 times x cubed plus 1 power of 3
Plus c?
plus c.
Okay, so remember, you're just doing antiderivative. So if I do the derivative of this, bring the power down, lower the power by 1.
Well, you don't really. Yeah, you
Remember power rule, right? Chain rule is going to make me multiply by what?
Half of calculus.
That's true.
Multiply it by
My point is,
3x squared.
Very good. The derivative of a constant is 0. So this 3 is going to cancel out this 3. So I'm guessing when you started integrating, you were integrating this squared and times an x squared. So there you go. If you take the derivative of your answer, it should go back to the question because you're just doing the inverse integral. Now again, I realize you're not going to want to do that every single question, but that one wasn't too bad. I mean, you know that you did it.
Yeah.
So we just stopped there.
Wait, what? You don't need calculus?
I had Christian in class last year for AB.
You did A.
It went about what you would expect.
I actually did good on my exam. I got a 4. Yeah, I'm trying to work harder on that. That's one of my weaker things. I'm more into like calculus. I'm not as good at calculus.
Oh, hey guys, I didn't say this at the start of class, but just a heads up. These So as I said, most students think BC is easier, not because the new content is easier, but just the pacing of the class, how much time we have to practice things, how much time we have to review and all that kind of stuff. In general, the global average for AB is around 60%, but the global average to pass for BC is like 88% or something. It's much higher. So anyway, I just think it helps give you some perspective about, like, it's okay if you're not great at use substitution or if you're very rusty. Like, we got more time than we had last year. A little bit more time to spend.
You'll just do nothing. Finish your work and sit here.
Find someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Did you be with an
So why'd you change your mind about BC?
Oh,
It would have been a lot easier to do last year.
yeah, I know. I don't actually remember why I didn't take
You do
BC.
AP Stat last year?
Yeah, I did. I don't actually know why I didn't just take BC. I don't remember what my reasoning was. I think I had something for some reason, but
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
You might have just been burnt out on
Could
strategy.
be.
AB is very.
It could be. It could be. It might have been. It might have been because I didn't feel super confident at the end of the year that I was going to do well on it. But then I did better than I thought I was going to. And so
You'll see me
back here
Okay.
because why not? Yeah. And then do you use in there?
You still play the emulator games online?
Yes, I do.
I saw you playing last year, because we have like, so when we make Google Classrooms, you know, like we can check what y'all are doing on GoGuardian to make sure you're doing cool stuff or whatever. And I hadn't like deleted them yet, I just hadn't got to it. I was like, you know, I wonder what everyone's doing, and so I pulled it up. You were playing games.
I was probably playing some Pokemon game.
Yeah, probably.
Could have also been playing Minish Cap. I played that one a lot.
Oh, you know what, maybe that's what you were playing. I played Minish Cap all the way through, I like it.
On that emulator, I did a 100% playthrough of Minish Cap, and I actually have the save file downloaded to the computer.
Were you the one who like showed me the minute? Oh my gosh.
I did.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Minish Cap is very good.
It's a great game.
Yeah, I gotta play all of your.
Have you played Link Between Worlds?
I have. I've played Link Between Worlds.
100% of that one.
Yeah, I never 100% of that one. I started to, but then I got stuck somewhere, and then I stopped. Yeah, but I beat that game because I'm not gonna 100% it without having beat it first.
I'm currently near the end of Tears of the Kingdom. I finally started playing it.
That's-
But I am never in my life going to try to 100% that. There's
Oh,
too
no.
much stuff.
And I mean, doing
Yeah, the seeds are
just the Koroks in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I couldn't do those either.
I did that. I did that. And then
I used to 100% Zelda games for a long time, but
I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet because to me, response to playing any game is to 100%. So I 100%ed Mass Effect when I played Mass Effect.
I'll just take this. I'll just take the
When I played that. It's just my instinct. I 100%ed all of my everything I played it. I just way more effort than it's worth.
Yeah, I found it.
really? You've gotten all the achievements in how long? Wow.
It's a lot.
I even did a
Look, I
100%
want to get
Steel
the bad
Soul.
parts out of the way.
Steel Soul's crazy.
It was.
Is that the one where you can't die or you can't get hit?
Can't die.
Okay.
You only have one life.
I beat Hollow Knight, but there is no way I was going to.
Wait, so you did like all the.
I did 100% of the
You did the Pantheon of Paladins and Steel Soul.
Yep.
Alright. I'm doing Elden Ring right now. I'm almost done. Almost 100% done.
I don't talk about Elden Ring.
I like that one.
I put like 200-300 hours into it. I'm near the very end, and then I was just burnt out and I quit playing.
I like it.
And my problem is if I take a break from a game, I usually like to start it over because I kind of forget what I was doing.
That's what I did with Portal.
I can't start Elden Ring
I
over
got
though.
frustrated near the end of Portal, and then I quit for 3 years, and then I came back and I went 100% of Portal.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing with Sekiro. Like I get so burnt out and mad, I just like don't.
I know, that's why I gotta
go back.
I gotta
I think that's why I played Sekiro before Elden Ring, and I'm actually pretty decent at Sekiro, so I don't know. Elden Ring was really easy.
I've never done that.
because I need a my thought process is
I should get Bloodborne. I have a PS4.
I have no PS.
in college when I do
I'm trying to get a
sign
PC.
up classes.
I have
The
that.
majors don't really
Where's the back?
require
Right there. Is that
the
the
thing is with AP, I already learned calculus 1 and some
Do you have
calculus 2.
Oh.
You need to put your name on there until you bring the pass back.
I think my favorite one.
Well, last year I had you put your name on there or leave your phone. And since y'all can't have phones out this year, I just put it over
Almost
here.
the easiest part is my name.
That makes sense. And I'm with you. AP that's going to be more work than
It will, but
I
yeah,
understand. Or just
because
do both.
I
I mean,
100%
I could, but I don't know if I have space.
I put in 170 hours on that. It was very frustrating because some of them are actually legit 4-hour runs. So it's like it's just like near the end it's just ridiculous. Like I can only do like a run after school.
I 100% at Terraria.
Told her I'd cry.
That's pretty good.
I have a world that has
I'm gonna capture
every
you in the
item.
worst place possible.
That's crazy. It's Terraria.
You'll see me at lunch.
I thought
They
about
tell you
doing
much.
doing that
Yeah,
thing.
that's
If they do,
that's
but-
the
But then I was like, no.
They're pretty strict on some of that.
Did you have it in your?
Well, I'm a senior, so I
So that was a thing.
I think I have a pretty good chance.
I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm getting like really simple answers. I need to get a pocket patch.
Just get rid of the one.
Well, I'm not gonna tell her, I just want to switch that because there's other things I want to do. Like, it's not just switching.
I got a pit cap in
Some
there
other-
and some
it's-
Sam socks.
I have
Yeah, I got a pit cap in there and I got the Sam socks.
I've got
Okay, I've got one more interruption for you guys real quick here. So first off, what I want to do is make sure that you know what you need to have done by Friday. And that is number 3 should be finished. I worked most of those for you on the board. I'm happy to help you if there's still some of those you need to have done. Number 3 should be finished. Number 4, of those 6 groups of questions, I want you to find the 6 USUB questions and do those at least. So if you don't get to some of those 6, if you're a little bit slower, you're a little bit rustier, you need to go and get some outside help, watch some Khan Academy videos, whatever, that's fine. But make sure you have those 6 from assignment number 4 done. You don't need to try to do the other 6. I don't intend for you to do those. There's a couple of them you don't even know how to do yet. So I don't want you to spend a lot of time on them. But with our last, what is it? We got about 20 minutes. I'm going to give you 2 choices here. If you still have some homework to do, you're welcome to keep doing that, or you can do it for homework. Or I've got a puzzle for you. No one's allowed to cheat. This is a puzzle that I happened to see on the internet the other day. So again, if you happen to know this one, please don't share out the answer. But I was surprised to see that this apparently has been used as an interview question at Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs, quite a few places. So again, feel free to do your homework. This is not important, but if you're done or you just want to do this and then do the homework later, then that's fine too. So, question's pretty straightforward. How many times do the hands of a clock, so just minute and hour, how many times do those overlap in a day? The second question's way harder. Just worry about the first question.
Kind of probability. It's a little bit of both. I would assume. No, it's counting. They're just counting.
After a few minutes, I'll poll you and see who thinks what. You can either finish your homework if you're not done,
So they start
or you can do your homework for homework and try a puzzle on the board.
hour goes to one, and it goes to.
I mean, they slightly.
Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on.
Slightly goofy.
Let me do my own thing. Okay, 210, 315,
Very close.
428,
Which I gotta recommend you.
630.
Well, because at 2:10, the hour ends when you start too.
That way if you lose the
Maybe at 2:11.
There you go. It's around that though, no?
But the thing is, now they have it's about, it's like.
I don't know, but
Once you get to like 9,
I always shuddered is this phase contract, right? So I don't know if this one is good. But if you go to this one and it is, just keep going to the left.
Okay, you might think it's 1, but then it's like the right 105. But when it's 105, this one has moved a little bit too.
Not exactly. It's like 105.5.
So that would mean, would it be 24? It'd be less than
At least 105.30.
The more you think about it, the deeper it
I
gets.
think that when you're trying to pick the times, you actually would end up getting like portions of a minute. And then
That's why the second question is really hard without pencil and paper. What you need? Bathroom pass? Okay, somebody has to pass out right now. So as soon as he comes back, if he hands it here, just put your name on the board. You'll just need to wait a minute.
we're 12 hours on.
Okay, I'm letting you think about it a few more minutes, and then I'm going to poll you and see how many people guessed the right answer. Yeah, I like this question. I want to really grind this part out.
Yeah, because it would be so precise. But
You have to think about like fractions of a circle. It's a good question. Just because like it's easy to understand.
that one's not bad. That one you can figure out.
Hey, I will also tell you that nobody got it right first period. Nobody got the first question right in first period. Not a single Cal BC student knew the answer to this. One Cal BC student.
So we start at 12. That's when we're going to count the first overlap.
Midnight is the first one, yep.
Okay. Yeah, probably. But we don't count the next one. Just the first
That's the next day.
Okay, so yeah, just the first midnight and then midday. And hour 4.
Yeah, how many of those are there?
Okay, so my house, I thought was, okay, so it spins one time.
In this version, if the
A minute spins 60 times faster.
so, are you sure you're gonna take that timer? Like, from pencil? Yeah, this one's 11.
Dude, right here.
Right now.
Hold on,
Is anybody still thinking? You want me to give you more time on this? More time, yes? Okay.
I think I'm solid. I could be wrong.
Why not?
I feel like it.
Actually, I guess you would need calculus.
You would need it. That's what I said.
Yeah, this is not calculus, by the way. Although you,
This is just like, well,
This is like a
you don't have to
math
figure out the
Olympiad.
times.
Well, I mean, that's the second one.
Yeah, but you have to get real precise there, and you're getting like fractions of minutes. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do
Wait,
that.
my thought process is the hour hit.
When
How
it's
much
L-
slower is the hour hit?
It's 1/60th the speed.
Yeah, exactly. Which means.
It's an hour
Wait,
slower.
it's kind of like you know those bubbles.
is it 1/60th?
Would it? Not
With-
112.
Yeah, I would think it's probably 112.
It goes one circle every 24 hours or every 12 hours.
Do you guys know how to read a clock?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, y'all are cell phone babies, so.
I use a pocket watch these days. Because I got it at the World War I Museum. And
That's handy since there's no cell phones this year.
Yep, that's why I started bringing it.
Okay, then it goes 12 times, 12 circles every.
I got it over the summer at the World War I Museum. Because we went. That's
The what museum?
The World War I Museum.
Oh, okay.
Kansas City.
Yeah, let's give it. Let's
It's a good museum.
They have a big World War II in New Orleans. That's supposed to be really good. I didn't go to it, but I wish I had.
I might try to make it to play then.
Apparently, it's like so big you need to plan like multiple days to try to see everything. So.
I'll definitely
22, right?
So that's one rotation, 12 hours.
Each hour's 30.
10
One rotation. And then like one.
Are you counting midnight twice?
Sure. You know, if you really want to do her,
The second midnight is the next day, so that doesn't count.
You see what I mean?
And also, I'm not going to tell you the right answer until after I get everyone's vote. I mean, it's a little bit. Okay, if you're still thinking about it and you don't want it spoiled, step out in the hallway for just 3 seconds.
Wait.
Everybody's okay to know the answer now? Okay, before I tell you the answer, I just want to get fillers to see how y'all did. So somebody throw out an answer you think it could be.
22.
Okay, 22. Raise your hand if you think it's 22. 3, 4, 5. Okay. What's another possible answer?
24.
Okay, I heard 24. Raise your hand if you think it's 24. Okay, I heard 23. Raise your hand if you think it's 23. Y'all are not very confident. Okay, any other guesses?
21.
Raise your hand if you think it's 21. Anything else you think it might be? The answer is 22. Somebody got it. Okay, so I actually saw this on a YouTube video and just thought it was kind of interesting. And they explain why it's 22 and the math you would go through this. Obviously, this has nothing to do with calculus. You don't have to care about this at all. But I will post the link to the YouTube video.
Is it a
so
Vsauce video?
if you want to see, huh?
Is it a Vsauce video?
Vsauce?
You know Vsauce?
I don't think so.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of Veritasium.
Wait, it's number file, right?
Huh?
Is it number file?
I don't think so. I don't know. I wasn't familiar with it. But I will post it. Give me just a second. I'll post the video, the YouTube video on Google Classroom. So if you want to watch it.
Wait, how did you? What do you mean?
So if you want to because it's moving at 12 midnight, then there's 12 intervals. And that means that means that each one is just going to be an extra minute longer. So it'll be at 106, 212, 317, 18, 4, 25, 35.
You're so right.
Yeah.
I overthought the word.
So, yeah. Because then, if it goes like that, your next year, the final will overlap at 1260. Do you use the 11? So that'd be I messed up something. I need to get this right. 106, 212.
Okay, I get you, I get you. Ezra, I got you, I got you.
Thinking about myself. 424, 530, 530. 6. Yeah, okay, if it goes to 530. Yeah. If it overlaps to 530, that means it's going to overlap again at 1160. So that works. Yeah, 22 is perfect. Bam.
Good job, bro. So proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my duty.
Do you have to?
Over there. Well, it's not that I want to.
There's a lot of 23s,
I love. I'm just easy.
24s. I think that was the only two. Y'all are either smarter or you cheat more.
They aren't getting
I'm already packing you up, you're so good at this. It's a lot of time, though. You do so much. Like 7, like little week. It's for 8, 8, 8.
Yeah, you get like
Wait, French is an easy hobby. I want to. This is kind of cool. Also, I might use this.
I'm gonna take.
You get a room to France. Per chair.
Because I was wondering if you talked to so that's fine.
But she just says that.
Why does she send that? Why does that?
Because a lot of people.
Okay, I sent you the YouTube link in Google Classroom, so if you want to hear the explanation behind this, it's there.
I'm surprised it was doing good somehow. Yeah, like I just needed like a jump start for the use of stuff. I was just like, oh, okay. And then I remember, I'm just more worried about the work problem. Those it's not very good related rates.
Related rates?
Yeah,
We'll review those.
that was my weakest part.
Geometry formula, take the derivative with respect to t, plug in all the information. If you're lucky, you're done. If you're not lucky, you've got to find one more piece of information, plug it in, and then you can do it.
I really had to study that stuff for a few weeks. Like that's mainly what I focused on related rates.
Already.
Just so I could like understand.
I just did the first 2 problems.
Yeah, related rates used to be a guaranteed FRQ every year too.
Yeah, well, almost like
And they stopped doing it
I thought
though.
it was too.
Almost as if.
Almost. I thought it was as well.
No, I mean like an FRQ that's like the whole thing is related rates, not just a part of it. It used to be every year one FRQ is related rates.
I know they always do one like the parking lot question. How many cars are going out? It was like how many cars are coming out of a parking garage at a rate of like 60 an hour or something.